So President Joe Biden, he had quite a big night last night. He had a breaking news press conference where he overall spoke about his experience with NATO. But of course, the journalists who attended had to ask him about whether he felt he was fit to continue to run for president. Of course, as the news is saying, the Democratic Party is pretty divided. Some want him to step down, others do not. So the question is for President Joe Biden whether he feels he can continue to run. Of course, we've covered this before. Joe Biden says he is going to stay in the race, and that is his position, period. And he did not change that position last night during his press conference. But I have to admit, I did put my head down because at the beginning of the press conference, he was asked about his VP, Kamala Harris, and whether she would be qualified to be president just in case, if he were to get a second term, just in case he could not continue during his second term. Could Kamala Harris, or would Kamala Harris be qualified to be president? And of course, he said she would. Otherwise, he would not have chosen her as a vice president. However, before he could get to that, he did accidentally refer to her as Trump. So, of course, I had to put my head down on that. And, of course, the press has run with it and played with it. And, of course, Trump himself has played with it. In fact, he took to his social media and he said, Crooked Joe begins his big boy press conference with, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, though I think she was not qualified to be president. Great job, Joe. That is what 45 wrote. But President Joe Biden had quite a good comeback. And in many ways, you kind of wish he had done it at the press conference. It probably would have been even more in the face. But this is what he said to Donald Trump in response online. And he said, by the way, yes, I know the difference. One's a prosecutor and the other's a felon. And that's what the American people need to be reminded of. Donald Trump, 45, is a felon, period. Joe Biden has had quite a successful presidency, and he's staying in the race. He has plans for the future. He, during his press conference, spoke on all of his accomplishments, and he spoke about what he plans to do during his second term. And the good news is, even though he may have had a little slip up here and there, overall, people seem to appreciate this press conference. They felt he sounded strong, sounded sound. In fact, CNN and I'm sure other major news outlets, they did focus groups. And when you listen to the focus groups, majority of them, again, feel that Joe Biden should continue to run. Not only should he continue to run, majority of them felt that Joe Biden could beat 45, Donald Trump. Of course, there were some who felt he should step down, some who felt he can't beat Donald Trump, but overall, the majority felt he could. And that was with a focus group. And a few people were asked outside of the focus group, and again, people were ready for Joe Biden to continue to stay in the race. So that is where we are, and that is where I am. I really don't know who else could replace him. He has a ticket. He's top of the ticket. It's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. If he were to step down, most Democrats feel that Kamala Harris would have to be top of the ticket because she is or has been a part of Joe Biden's successful presidency. And that's just where it is. But what are your thoughts? Share them below. I'm Stacey Brewer, and this is H Blues Word. Peace.